Patriots, this is wild. People are saying that Jake Paul lost hundreds of millions of dollars on the fight that he was supposed to win. But that Anthony Joshua went against the tongue sign script and pounded him out. And what happened? Look at what happened. Anthony Joshua allegedly, kind of suspiciously, was involved in an accident that almost took his life. It took the life of 2 other people. So a lot of people are questioning.
Hold up. Everything just shifted sideways. Breaking news didn't just hit the internet. It detonated it. Jake Paul is supposedly making moves.
Actually, nice to get that camera.
What's going on?
What's up, Floyd?
I can have what I want.
What you mean with the camera? Oh, you got camera too. So what you supposed to be? I'm just working, man.
What happened? You're not tough anymore since your loss? What happened since your loss? Yo, we gonna bust him up, guys?
I told you before, put that camera
Yo, let's
down.
bust him up. Where you running, Jake? Where you going since your fight? Since you lost? What's up, Jake?
Here's my raw perspective on fight-fixing accusations. Boxing doesn't require actual scripts to feel manufactured. All it takes is strategic matchmaking, financial motivations, and calculated incentives. That murky territory has always been part of the game. When people point fingers at Jake for orchestrating outcomes, they're really expressing deeper skepticism about the entire system. Jake just became the lightning rod for all that accumulated mistrust. It's both unjust and completely inevitable.
Yeah. Confirmed that Jake Paul's home was being raided by the FBI. News station helicopters got footage and pictures of Jake Paul's house being.
Oh, they taking his guns and stuff. So there's got to be something gun related. Like, damn. But that's a sticky situation right there.
Photos show the FBI SWAT team seizing guns, several guns. According to the local ABC station, the weapons included a long gun that was next to the hot tub in the backyard. This search is part of an ongoing investigation, and no arrests have been made.
Where do you think you're headed, man?
And this is Jake Paul's house. Got raided by the FBI. What could this guy be possibly into now?
Connect outside of YouTube. Twitter was buzzing with photos and videos of SWAT teams at Jake Paul's house yesterday. And no, they are not fake. The FBI and a SWAT team showed up at Jake Paul's house with a search warrant. The search began at 6 a.m. in connection with an ongoing investigation, according to FBI spokeswoman Laura I. Miller. Jake was not at home at the time. Unfortunately for T channels and everyone else that wants to know the scoop, the judge sealed the search warrant affidavit, so we don't actually know too much about why Jake Paul's.
Something else bothers me about dragging Joshua into conspiracy theories that have zero connection to his dedication, training, or track record. Watching his name get tangled up with speculation, disasters, and internet chaos feels fundamentally wrong. That's exactly why countless fighters responded with support and prayers rather than hot takes. They understand certain boundaries exist, even when everything else is falling apart.
Any thoughts on AJ and the families?
Yeah, it's all prayers and blessings for Cena and Lots and Anthony, and I've kept them in my prayers. And it's such a tragic situation that we don't wish upon anybody, and I'm sending love to all of them and keeping them in our prayers, and I think everybody else should do the same. And we have so much love, and things are so much bigger than boxing and living life, and we're just all blessed to be here, and we all have to be grateful for that because you never know what's next.
Looking at this as a person, not an analyst, it seems like the internet wants Jake Paul punished not for any actual wrongdoing, but for existing in a way that irritates people. Too successful, too brash, too calculated. That hunger for cosmic justice becomes dangerous because it doesn't wait for evidence, doesn't consider innocent bystanders, just demands a satisfying conclusion. Real life rarely delivers that kind of clean resolution. My gut feeling, not my wallet talking, suggests parts of this fade legally, but stick around culturally. Even if nothing concrete emerges, the doubt remains embedded. That's actually worse long-term, because careers can survive legal challenges better than they survive permanent suspicion. Once audiences decide you're fake, every victory feels hollow and every defeat feels justified. That's psychological prison.
When you lose hundreds of millions of dollars, people do not take it too kindly, and I can see the Vegas odds, if they were saying, look, he wins, he always wins, it's going to happen in the 6th round. But no, Anthony Joshua said, not on my clock. I'm going to break his jaw in two. Two, Johnny. Make it two, Utah. Make it two. What do you guys think about this? I don't know. Is this conspiracy theory? Is there some truth to it? I don't know. But it does seem pretty suspicious that it happened so soon after.
So here's where I land right now. Nobody possesses the complete story yet. Someone somewhere is withholding information. Maybe not criminal evidence, but definitely strategic details. Until that dam bursts, this situation stays toxic. Don't trust anyone claiming it's resolved, because stories like this don't conclude, they evolve. We're still in the middle of that evolution. The end game here involves reputational destruction that factorizes credibility, finances, and careers simultaneously. Now I'm pulling you backward through the debris. Because 5 minutes ago, nothing added up, and currently, it feels like reality is warping. The breaking news didn't just disrupt the internet. It fractured something fundamental. The reason you can't stop watching is because the outcome already feels predetermined. The only remaining questions are who was aware, who misled everyone, and who gets exposed when the spotlight intensifies and escape routes disappear. This began the moment rumors became radioactive. The instant federal operations and celebrity compounds appeared in the same sentence. That's when curiosity transforms into bloodlust and audiences become hunting packs. I witnessed this metamorphosis in real time as confidential warrants, tactical shadows, and official silence created such a violent information vacuum that it consumed every past controversy, every dispute, every slip-up, and produced one question you don't want to consider but can't escape thinking about. This can't actually be happening, right?
You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, of the weight difference, and, you know, Joshua is a former, you know, champion. And also, you know, he's current, he's active, you know, and this is going to be the first time that we see Paul, you know, fighting an active fighter. You know what I mean? We seen the Mike Tyson, that was all fun, that was cute, you know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff, but now you're dealing with a real professional, you know, and so we'll see how it ends up you know, like I said, I think it's scripted.
This brings us to the supposed escape narrative, because here's the partial truth that makes everything feel surreal. Reports surface, video clips spread, authorities say practically nothing, and that silence becomes deafening. When official explanations vanish, people create their own theories. Suddenly, a standard investigation transforms into a countdown where every hour without answers feels like confirmation of guilt. Mark my words, someone in this situation is hiding behind procedural protocols, and that protection crumbles when pressure keeps mounting like this. Then everything accelerates because the internet doesn't deliberate, it explodes forward. The fight stops being about combat sports and becomes symbolic. An alleged script, a brand protection scheme, a physics-defying fantasy. Whether you buy into it becomes irrelevant because belief itself weaponizes, and the louder it gets, the more hazardous the consequences become for anyone connected to contracts, betting lines, or backroom promises.
Jake would have won. Everyone would have known it was rigged. He couldn't win that fight. So he said, let me get to round 5. Let me get there, because if I can get there, then everyone can make money. And the second round 4 hit, Anthony was ready. It was so obvious. It's so gross to me that I participated in this because I wanted to see him get knocked out. And that's exactly what he knows to be true. Most people want to see him get knocked out.
You sense the emotional earthquake when regular travel morphs into fleeing across headlines, when movement suggests guilt, when airline tickets suddenly look like admissions of wrongdoing. Don't act like you didn't feel it, because you absolutely did. Perception becomes poison at this level. Once the mob decides you're running, every action appears guilty, every pause seems strategic, every public statement feels like manipulation. This is where people start cracking under pressure. Take a breath, because this is the moment when rational thinking tries to catch up and fails completely. Logic doesn't go viral and patience doesn't generate revenue. In this quiet space between updates, imagination runs completely wild, weaving together law enforcement, celebrity drama, and combat sports history into one massive story that feels too organized to be coincidental and too chaotic to be fabricated. I hate that it makes sense even when it absolutely shouldn't. New danger emerges because now conversations shift toward gambling, and that single word drags legal shadows into focus. Once money, odds, and power share the same space, Stakes multiply exponentially and people start salivating over potential consequences. Promoters push back not to win debates, but to protect entire ecosystems. I keep hearing whispers that someone miscalculated how rapidly this would spiral out of control. That's not gossip. That's a red alert.
I hear a lot of people saying, congratulations to Jake Paul for being brave to step in the ring with Anthony Joshua. Not many people will want to step in the ring with Anthony Joshua. Let me tell you something. If someone paid me $80 million to fight Anthony Joshua, I'm stepping in there tomorrow, right? No training, no nothing. I'm leaving straight from work. I fly to Miami and I'll get my jaw broken for $80 million, no problem. And I'm sure there will be millions.
When the cycle repeats, it gets nastier because accusations don't require evidence to survive. When history taught fans to expect deception. Boxing created the skepticism over decades of questionable decisions. So when officials insist everything is legitimate, it doesn't reassure anyone. It inflames them because denial sounds defensive, defense sounds panicked, and panic smells like weakness to an audience craving a spectacular downfall more than actual justice. Want another incomplete revelation? The matchups, the scheduling, the financial incentives, none of it appears illegal on paper, but legality and authenticity aren't identical concepts. That divide is where conspiracy theories flourish, and I guarantee someone knows a crucial detail that hasn't emerged yet. A seemingly minor detail that would completely flip how we interpret everything, sitting there like an explosive waiting for the wrong trigger.
He's going to get a load of money to knock Jake Paul's spark out. That's it, mate. I want to see him get chinned. I do. And if we're going to get paid a fortune for the pleasure, sign me up. That's it. That's it. You know, I mean, I'm kind of past the days of trying to spin it to you. Better off saying to the fan, why are you doing this? For the money and for the giggles. That's really what it is. But I said to him, I said, this ain't magic, mate. This guy could take your head off your shoulder.
The emotional surge intensifies because now every archived clip gets re-examined, every movement gets analyzed, every hesitation becomes evidence, and people start speaking like experts without earning that authority. The irony cuts deep, accusing someone of creating artificial drama while constructing entire fantasy documentaries in their minds. Yet it continues spreading because compelling narratives defeat accurate ones every single time.
Jake Paul has some big ass balls, bro. No diddy. You know, it's just like to go in there with one of the best heavyweights to ever do it, Anthony Joshua, Olympian. You know, was he a gold medalist? Gold medalist. Wow.
2012.
That's what I'm saying. So, you know, my respects to obviously Jake because, man, that took a lot and he's robbing the bank, man. He's promoter. He's guaranteed.
The alleged escape story feeds off those emotional investments because it structures events like dramatic theater.
So they're going to tune in, and guess what we got? Jake Paul getting knocked out. He also made a lot of fucking money, and we are all just consuming it. If you believe in astrology, you will know this to be true. I looked up his natal chart. It's mostly earth energy. Everything he's doing is a fucking act. It's an act. He doesn't act that way at home. I guarantee it. He is a Capricorn, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Libra, Mars, and a Taurus moon. There's no way he acts like that at home.
Wait, hold on. Because even I'm experiencing vertigo from this because legitimate journalism and wild speculation are twisted together so tightly you can't distinguish which thread you're following. That's genuinely dangerous because once stories merge like this, they don't separate cleanly. They explode catastrophically. I'm telling you straight up, there's deception somewhere in this chain. I can't identify the source yet, but it's definitely there. New danger emerges when people interpret silence as calculated strategy, because staying quiet becomes suspicious, speaking out becomes manipulative, and simply existing becomes incriminating. That's a lethal trap for public figures because the game becomes unwinnable once crowds decide the conclusion. Right now, the audience is writing an explosive finale. Another time bomb, and listen carefully because I keep noticing one element that doesn't align properly. A timing inconsistency, a procedural anomaly, a disconnect between what was stated and what was demonstrated. It's minor enough to overlook but significant enough to matter. And when it surfaces, someone will insist it was obvious from the beginning. That's the pattern every time. The impact hits harder now, because legacy considerations enter the conversation. Once reputations shift from current events to historical record, the damage calculation changes completely. Reputations don't recover like physical injuries do, and I'm watching this transition from scandal into legend in real time. Where facts become footnotes and impressions become judgments, that should terrify everyone involved. Final pause, because this isn't finished, and anyone claiming otherwise is either lying or in denial. Investigations move slowly while narratives move at light speed, and currently speed is dominating. I don't like what that suggests for the next development, because something else is approaching. You can sense it, I can sense it, and when it hits, this entire situation could explode again. I'm ending here not because the story concluded, but because it's still alive, still evolving, still dangerous. If you think this was the explosion, you're mistaken. This was just the shockwave, and the epicenter hasn't even collapsed yet. Stay alert, stay skeptical, because the next revelation could reshape everything once more. Look, my genuine human perspective, not analytical thinking or clickbait instincts, just me observing this chaos, is that Jake Paul constructed something so attention-grabbing and lucrative that it conditioned everyone to assume manipulation even when reality might be straightforward. When you spend years blending sport with entertainment, you forfeit the benefit of doubt. That's not hatred. That's natural consequence. Anthony Joshua stepping into that tornado was gasoline on flames that were already primed to ignite. Anthony Joshua, and I mean this respectfully, operates in a completely different mental space than Jake Paul, because heavyweight champions don't develop by gaming stories, they survive by navigating them. When people argue no legitimate fighter would compromise themselves for someone else's brand, I agree because I've followed Joshua's journey, the defeats, the comebacks, the expectations. That man doesn't seem like someone who would perform for internet validation. Simultaneously, I can't ignore how the timing around everything feels cursed. Not criminal or conclusive, but cursed. Scandals don't need actual connections to feel connected because humans naturally hunt for patterns. So when you hear about federal investigations, sealed documents, then see headlines screaming about fleeing, your mind connects possibilities even when those possibilities shouldn't intersect. That's where Jake Paul is hemorrhaging credibility right now. People questioning why Jake travels don't grasp celebrity reality, but people defending it like perception doesn't matter are being foolish. Perception becomes reality in public scandals, and Jake Paul understands that better than a lie. That's why every action feels deliberate even when it isn't. The irony is he mastered control so completely that now he can't convince anyone he's not controlling everything.